Greetings, friends and fellow rebels, and welcome to the woods. I want to talk to you about something very important today, but this is most applicable to those who are empaths and those who are affiliated, friends and family members who have that ability, because it's going to become critical as we move into transformation how we handle ourselves. It's going to what we do, what we can do, what we are, is becoming more and more influential. It influences emotionally the people around us. And as our emotions spin up because of the changes that are happening, and because people are losing their mooring, they're losing what they're accustomed to, the direction, the traditions, the understanding that they have been acclimated for lifetimes to using to navigate their world. As we are increasingly becoming sovereign beings, having to take responsibility for ourselves, but having to decide for ourselves how we are going to move through our new reality, our new world. As that happens, emotions are going to become more powerful. They've always been strong determinations of priority and behavior, but the ability to utilize them to manifest within our reality is going to become much stronger as the density of our world shifts, as our world and reality becomes more fluid, and as the energy, the vibrancy of the energy of our world increases, becomes more rarefied. There will be consequences for how we acquit ourselves, for our feelings and our thoughts, not just our actions. We are accustomed to being able to have privacy, more or less, within our thoughts and our heart, our feelings, that we can feel anger, but if we don't act on it, it's okay. That we can think terrible things, but if we don't do anything about it, it's okay. But we're reaching a time when that's not going to be the case. Now, really, our thoughts and our emotions have always had consequences. But it's been a long time in the history of this planet where the consequences have come as rapidly and with less ability to steer away from them as we are going to see. I've experienced this in when my improvements came 10, 20 years ago, when weight was added to my spiritual being so that I could accomplish closer to my true potential. I wasn't accustomed to being quite that spiritually effective. I would get angry about things. I was accustomed to becoming occasionally angry about things, but nothing ever happened as a result. When I achieved a certain amount of power spiritually, if I became angry about something and I didn't tie it off, I didn't put it into something concrete, I didn't set it somewhere, do something with it. If I just let the ambient anger energy flow around me, accidents happened. Not just to me, to anyone in my environment who was sensitive enough or who had their own anger that they weren't expressing. And I remember the first time that became obvious to me, I was in a restaurant, something was said, I felt a flare of anger come through, and I let it simmer. And within a few seconds, the lady who'd been waiting on us, who was herself a sensitive, because I'm sure you know you can identify that in other people. It's a sense of being able to truly communicate with them. You can feel it when you're in the room with somebody, even if they don't know it. Our our server, very good server, because she could sense what people needed and would act on it. And she was open to the people that she was taking care of. Thus, she was able to feel the energy that came through. It moved through her. And she dropped the platter of dishes, which were piled high, fortunately dirty, and down they went onto the floor, a number of them shattering in all directions. A perfect representation of the anger that I felt, the energy that had moved through me, that I had not tied off, because at that time, I didn't understand the importance of needing to do so. It opened my eyes, and from that point on, I was very, very careful whenever I felt a strong emotion to do something with it. Now, don't pull it into yourself. You need to tie it off to something. People talk about grounding it. That's one way to do it. You have to be careful about that, though, because if you put it in the ground and you don't do it in quite the right way, where you have requested the ground accept it, you're just putting little landmines for other people to trip over when they come moving through and step in that space where you have deposited that energy. So the idea of grounding it, well, I know that that's traditional, but there's right ways to do that and there's wrong ways to do that. What I have learned about certain energies that are volatile is it's best to tie them to what's causing the emotional reaction. So if you get angry about something, if you get upset about something, tying that emotion to what's causing the emotion for the purpose of fixing the problem, righting the ship, getting things back on track, is a way to avoid bad accidents. And we need to be careful to modulate our emotions right now. I noticed today when I called home that the turbulence that's was so often for years and years in that space, suddenly everything was fine. There were no complaints. And that had been the case for a few weeks, few months. I realized, hey, wait a minute. When I call, I usually get a whole litany of problems. I'm not getting those anymore. So I asked, what's going on? Oh, nothing. Nothing's going on. And then I realized the cessation of the drama occurred at just about the same time that somebody who used to live in the house moved out of the house. And that person was an empath. And I'm sure that person is completely unaware that by simply being in a space, that she's affecting that space. And her anxieties cycle up the anxiety of everybody around her, as does her excitement, as does her happiness, as does her fear. We have an obligation to be very careful about what energy we allow through us. And we need to learn to be responsible and to control that in a responsible way. Something to think about. We'll talk more on this later. This is the reason that I have covered all of the different emotions, what they're for, what they do for us, the purpose they serve, the ones that are damaging, how they can damage. And again, we'll talk more on this later. Welcome to the woods.